You're listening to the #1 live call-in podcast for real estate agents and professionals all around the world. World-class guests, breaking news, and you with your hosts, Johnny Awesome and Jimmy Fantastic. You are on Free for All Friday.
Jimmy, did you know that simply by listening to our show, you're virtually guaranteed to score 3 points higher on your real estate exam?
I did know that, yes.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. I wish I would have known that before I took mine, since I had to take it 6 times.
Did you?
Yeah.
But you made it.
I did make it, yeah. But, and then you get to that point where it was like, I'm just not giving up.
Yeah.
Right? But, yeah, I did take my test 6 times.
And I will live out my purpose to look at the eyeballs of every person I meet and ask why have good when you can have awesome.
Yeah. And see, if I would have known you before I took my test, I would have had 3 points higher, but I would have passed it the first time.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everybody indeed. Sorry, I either sound awesome or I sound sick.
I think you sound awesome.
I worked with somebody one time that would only record their voicemail when they were sick.
Yeah.
Because they had a very deep voice.
Did you like the Barry White, like the bassy,
my darling,
yeah, the bassy good
can't
stuff.
get enough of your love, baby.
That's as Muska would say, that's grown folks stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that my current.
I'm glad you're grown folks.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Sorry for the hesitation. We have a deep subject today that we are definitely going to have to dig into again for 2 reasons. One, I don't know if my voice is going to hold up this entire episode. And number 2, because there is so much controversy around what we're going to talk about today that, in fact, walking into the building, it started, and we realized we're going to have to do and recap an episode 2 of this.
Yeah. And it's funny that we were talking about some books, out there this morning with a couple other people that are here. And the books, we were talking about what was the book that you guys just brought up? I haven't seen it.
The Monster from Jekyll Island.
The Monster from Jekyll Island. Talking about the Federal Reserve, how that was created, who kind of created it, and some interesting facts about it. Right, like I haven't read the book yet, but I'm going to.
Right, and all you've done so far is hear a little bit about it.
Yeah, I've just heard a little bit about it, and obviously, there's been some really cool shows on the History Channel, right? The men who created America, and it's Carnegie, and it's I'm trying to think of other names now. Wow.
I don't look at me. I don't have a TV. Well, I guess I do now.
Yeah,
I hadn't for a long time.
Right, but it was like it's the richest men who created America. Right?
Oh, sure.
Like that was what it's all about. How the banking system worked, how they borrowed money.
J.P. Morgan,
Chase,
gotcha.
All that stuff. Like those guys, and how the banking system was created for them, and not for everybody, really.
Yeah,
you're right. But the amazing part to me is everybody knows I just turned 50, right?
If they don't, they know now.
If they don't, they know now. But like over time, and I've been putting a lot of thought into this recently, and I guess probably because I just did turn 50. Like how much things have changed over time, right? How much things have changed over my time only, and to be honest, it's only 50 years, right? But the idea of investing, right, and putting money where you can put it, like Robin Hood, right? Like Robin Hood, you can go in there, you can buy some stocks, and you don't have to know anything about stocks. You can just buy some stocks. You can put some money in there and do a couple different things, and it's great. You think about your 401ks and all the way you can invest now, and where 50 years ago it was you got a job, you worked at we're in Michigan, so you worked at one of the big 3, and you worked there for the next 40 years, and you retired and got a nice pension.
Yep.
And it was great, and that's all you had to do, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And so I had this conversation. My wife and I talked about this the other night. With what I do, right, and what we do, is it's a little different because It's
especially what we do is a little bit different.
yeah, what we do is really different, right? So real estate's one thing that we do, right? And so real estate. I remember when I was getting into real estate, and so many people were nervous for me to get into real estate.
Yeah.
Because it's not guaranteed, right? There isn't. You don't get paid every 2 weeks, right? And I was like, no, I don't get paid every 2 weeks, but I'm going to get paid once in a while, but it's a bigger check, right? So that's one. Then you take into the coaching and training aspect of it, and we've all been at different companies, and I was on the training and coaching side in the corporate environment, which is completely different than the private. And the corporate it's funny because when a company starts to struggle, the first thing they cut is coaching and training.
100%
out.
Really? You think they cut that before they cut marketing?
Probably about the same time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one fail swoop, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like marketing's out, and coaches and trainers, we don't need any of those.
Right.
We need you to work more hours though, and just not really know what you're doing, but you're gonna do it anyway, and we're gonna grind away at it. So like again, coaching and training and real estate, and then you talk about investing, right? Like we've done a couple flips, and doing flips, it's like, oh my gosh. Like parental wise, like my parents and in-laws are like, it's risky. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's like, well, what am I risking? Right. Like what you're doing, what I was like, the idea of working 40 hours, getting some overtime, getting a nice fat pension at the end.
Big pension.
Your pension, not only your pension, right, but your health care, right, is then taken care of until you die. And it's like that doesn't exist anymore. And so you got to think outside the box, and I think that's kind of where our thought process is, and this is where it gets scary for talking about what's happening in the news and everything else, because do we still have control over that? Are we still going to have control over that, or are we not going to have control over that?
Yeah, the thing is, and good morning everybody. One thing that I wanted to mention on, and people may or may not believe this, but when I was, I don't know, 18, 19 or so, I myself did a flip.
You did?
Yep. I learned how to do a backflip. It was one of the most proudest moments because you shouldn't be doing it. But here's why. Chris Farley could do cartwheels. And I said, if Chris Farley, that was like one of his big things. Nobody
this is a real estate show, right?
I understand. There's a point to this. If you believe it. But no, like, I figured if he can do backflips or cartwheels, I could do a backflip. And so I was encouraged by that. So, listen.
That was a terrible take, Johnny.
I'm that, but it will break up and it will be great content later. The Dayquil hasn't completely hit yet, but it's on its way.
I think it has.
You think?
I think so, yeah.
This is Johnny on Dayquil?
Yeah, I think this is,
But
Johnny.
look, the thing is what you said was really interesting because and this is one thing that I love about real estate and our business is back in the day, it always was. You go to school, get good grades, get a safe, secure job, and then all of a sudden, you retire and you're good to go. And the same people that promoted that, like you said, your generation, your mom's generation, they didn't understand people, especially my generation and younger.
The boomers.
Yeah.
If
the
my
boomers.
mom's watching today, a boomer.
Yeah. And thanks, Dave. Yep. That was that usually happens when Jimmy does it. But yeah, so anyway, the
I think he's talking about your story.
No, I know. My story is like, sorry guys, my story. Let me just drink this and let Jimmy talk through this episode. But what's interesting is how people have been stating that it was going to be like this for a long time. And that's why I think right now and why we need to have people we need to continue this conversation.
Yeah. Because
there was a lot of sirens and red flags and warnings going off that we were going to move away from the college, safe, secure job. And we were going to start moving more towards people needing to specialize in stuff, right?
Yeah. And I think this is what's crazy. For
those of you that are listening to the podcast later, you should join it live just to see the.
Al said it makes you look evil. I don't think it makes you look evil. It just brightens your face. Maybe that's just your face.
I don't know how I feel about this. Anyway,
but no, and this is what's wild too, right? So we went through a long time, to your point, of you have to go to college, you have to get a degree. If you don't, you're a loser, right? Like, I mean, it just went down this whole path. Like, oh my God, the only way for you to be safe and secure is to go to college.
yeah.
And then what? Right? We never got to the and then what happens, right? Like, you just go to college, you get a really good job, and you work. It's like, well, okay, what should then it's like, what should my degree be in?
Well, and like you said, and the funny thing is today, it was now people get involved in real estate, and some of you guys that have gotten involved more recently, recently it's weird because everything sells. So now you get involved in real estate.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, what a great smart move that you're making.
Yeah.
Right. As we're about ready to go into this massive shift. But like, it's just so funny how perception has completely changed over the years.
Yeah.
And what do you think causes that perception change?
I think for real estate, and I use this a lot. I think in real estate, a lot has changed, honestly, with HGTV. I think HGTV has changed a lot of real estate because it's a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right? Because people are very interested in real estate. So they're going to ask, if you say you're a real estate agent, people are going to ask you, oh my gosh, what's the market? How's this? How's that? Have you ever done any flips? Are you doing any investing? Like, they see these shows on HGTV, so then they get some verbiage from it, right? And they have these they think they can have these conversations, and the perception is that all agents make a boatload of money.
Yeah.
That's the like, oh my God, you just sell a whole bunch of houses, you make a whole bunch of money. And us as agents, we also promote what we do volume wise a lot. So we say, oh, I sold $2 million in volume this month.
Yep.
The perception is like, oh man, you made a lot of money this month.
You know, the first company that I started at, they used to recognize people, and I forget the name that they had for them, something like Inner Circle or Diamond Circle or something. Once you did $1 million worth of volume, and when but come on, if you've been in real estate, you guys know what that equals as an income, especially after you've paid for your signs and you're paying for whatever advertisement.
Not a lot.
It doesn't equal anything,
right?
And you're right. But people don't know. It's perception. So they heard that, and even new people getting started hear that, and you're like, whoa. And then they look up to that guy.
Yeah.
And then you find out, like, they really didn't do anything.
You find out he's still living at home with his mom and dad.
Yeah, yeah,
Because he can't afford to move out.
Yep.
Right? And so I think HGTV's done that a lot. I think that's the perception, right? And to be honest, it's gotten worse with social media.
Yes.
Because as agents, we can just go say, I did this, and it's like, I'm killing it, and I'm this, and I'm that. And it's, people tend to believe you.
Now,
right?
But see, that's a pro and a con. And real quick, I want to catch up on a couple of these because Al is 100% right. Al says you pay to go to college and then become a realtor.
Yep.
About 10, 12, I guess it's been, man, I'm getting old too, Jimmy. Do you ever just look back when you start dating things? You're like, actually, it was 20 years ago.
That's kind of how we started on this thing.
So like 20 years ago, when I got involved in an MLM, right? I remember people saying, there's two things. I'll never forget this. I remember somebody telling me, nobody will ever buy anything online. And he looked and laughed at me. And he said, so what am I going to do? Buy my shoes online? And what happens if they don't fit? And, right? Literally 3 years later, Amazon stopped selling books.
Yeah.
And started selling shoes. And now who doesn't have their credit? Even if you don't think your credit card's online, your credit card's online.
Yeah.
But I remember one thing that the company said back then, the MLM that I was part of, is they said, there we go. They said that you go to school. It was that you go to school, get good grades, get a good education, right?
Yep.
But I remember them asking, this was like 20 years ago, how many people are currently using the degree that they went to school for?
Right.
And nobody's actually using what they went. And that was back then. You are?
Yeah.
High five.
I was going to be a teacher. You know what I mean? Like my degree was.
See, you're not in the education system. I wouldn't consider that. Boo.
No, I'm not using my degree.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, high five.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it again. Yeah, high five me once. No, it was but no, that my degree's I'm a teaching degree. right? So I was going to be a social studies English teacher.
So we're teaching kids to go to school to actually get into debt, and then they don't actually utilize the thing that they went
Yeah,
in the first
to
place.
pay
for.
100 and let's say on the light side for 4 years, you pay. This is on the light side now. Trust me, I'm paying for college right now. But on the light side, you pay $150,000, right?
Yeah.
For 4 years.
And if you
Okay?
look
And then you get out and you get a job making $50,000 a year.
now, I don't. Again, we're going to be talking about money, but this is very, very relevant.
Yes.
Because it's all tied together.
Correct.
If you look at the actual true success rate of the amount of people, because colleges always boast job placement.
Yeah, for sure.
What they never do is boast job placement in the actual position that the person
In the
is
actual field that you
going
actually paid
to
for.
school for.
Yeah.
Right. Which is really interesting because to Al's point, we all eventually end up somewhere. So, it's interesting because like you're sending your kids to school. I remember 10 years ago telling people, look, if my kids want to go to school, then they're going to have a full-time job, getting grants and or they're going to need to be really good in basketball because they need to figure out how to get scholarships to go through school if they really want to. And so many people are like, whoa, that's child abuse. Why? Because if they don't have a clear idea, when by the time my sister had started going to school, and she's only 3 years younger than me, by the time she started going to school, the mindset was college is where you go to school to party and then figure out what you want to do with life.
Yeah.
The problem is that's a $150,000 bill to do that.
Right.
So why not keep the $150,000, go out there and do something in life, and then figure out how to excel at it and then make more money? And that's why real estate's always been one of the best opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had an agent, and I'm gonna leave him remain nameless, but no, he same thing. So his parents saved all this money for his life to go to college, right? And they saved enough to pay for his 4 years of college. So they were a lot smarter parent than I was. But they saved all this money to send him to college, and he didn't want to go to college, right? And so they were like, "What are you going to do?" And he's like, "Getting into real estate." So he took the money that they gave him, and was kind of like living on it because he was in real estate, and then he took some and bought an investment property, and then the funniest thing is he got out of he's not out of real estate, but he's now not in real estate because he had some rich uncle give him a business, and so now he's running that business.
Okay.
Which is a very successful business.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. He never did he decided, and then I had another friend of ours, a close friend of ours, did the same thing, saved all his money, and their son graduated from high school, and he was like, all right, they're picking out colleges, and he's like, Dad, I don't want to go to college. Dad's like, and it's a good friend of mine. He's a commercial roofer.
Okay.
And he said, I want to do what you do. He's like, I spent my whole life on a roof, so you didn't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what he did. So he does sheet metal roofing and whatever. So he put him in the apprenticeship program, whatever. Kids killing it. Bought his own house at 21.
Yep.
Living on his own, got his car, doing his thing, and it's like, so again, that's back to the college thing. It's not for everyone. And I think when we give our kids choices, right? Like my son's at Alabama.
Yeah, but he's doing like he's doing something that he wants. It's a special field in practice.
Yeah.
Jimmy, big brag on Jimmy's son, by the way, because you can catch him on ESPN all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. When Alabama's on TV, you could catch him on TV all the time. But that was the conversation I had with him before he decided to go there. Was like, look, I want you to do something big.
Yeah.
Like if you wanna do something simple and easy, just stay close to home. It'll be a lot cheaper, whatever. But think big, right? Don't think small. Think big. Go shoot for the stars, man. Like we'll figure it out. Your mom and I will figure it out. Yep. You go do your thing, but just keep thinking big.
Yeah.
Instead of like, and I don't want to downplay it, but like instead of like I just want to go to school to be an accountant. Like we can go to an accounting school at Oakland or Macomb or like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to go
or apprentice yourself up to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of ways you could do it.
It's
right?
one of my favorite things that Tony Robbins said, and I know we both have written this down. And Rob, I 100% agree with you. I think that I don't know. I think that and or working in like public relations somehow, if you're the one that's distributing out like welfare, I assume both those are pretty pretty bad in their own way.
Yeah, well, so I've been watching. I don't know if you've watched it or not, but The Chosen, on Netflix, very good. If you haven't watched it yet, it's a very good series. It's about Jesus and the path, the disciples, and what he went.
Yeah.
But so where was I just going with that?
The people that do work in that field are saints.
I don't know, man. The brain is messed up today.
I don't think neither one of us are at 100%. Y'all, I think the sickness has been spreading between me and Jimmy, and it's happening. But I want to come back to something that you said about, because it's interesting because we live in this world too. In fact, I'm going to be on a call with a gentleman today, and we live in a world today because you brought up like on Facebook where people can create this perception. Now, 100%, you're right. It's a perception, but and Al said it, and it's interesting, Al, that you actually said this, because Al is the king of the selfie stick, right? And Al documents everything, but even he recognizes this fact right here, which I think is great. It's brilliant. In fact, public invite. We've been talking about having Al on the show forever, so public invite, Al. We got to get you on the show.
Yeah, Al, you got to be our guest.
And you got to bring your drums. So
yes, absolutely. And then we get the guitar and the drums. We got a band.
Free for All Friday band.
Yes.
So, but what's interesting about that is you can also utilize that to your advantage. So this gentleman I was talking to, he seems like he's doing all the right things. You go to his site, he has personalized pictures for everything. Every listing he has is great. He's all over social media. He has his presence is huge, right? And he just looks huge on social media. So when you look up the production, it's not there at all, right? And so like it's really interesting because when I talked to him, I was like, what's the one thing that's going to bring you further up? Because people are contacting him based off of what he's doing on social media because it looks like he's got a lot of activity.
Yeah.
But then the activity will eventually catch up. So recognizing that fact, and this is what we're going to be going into, especially when we talk about money here. There's so many different opportunities out there. I think real estate is one of the best industries in the world because literally it touches everything and you can be anything inside of real estate. And let me explain that. In real estate, you don't have to just be a realtor. There are so many different facets. You can be a coach. You can specialize in this little tiny segment and be the master of that, right? You can be a photographer. You can be a videographer. You can be a drone. Now you can be a cinematographer, right? And stage huge movies and social media. So like it all touches the real estate industry. And it's something that Al said earlier. And that's why guys, one of the things that's happening right now, there's a lot of news out there. And again, this conversation will be continued. There's a couple key people I'd love to have on the show to talk about this that are more experts than us. But I can tell you that there's a lot of articles that I'm seeing that's coming in front of me, and some of it conspiracy theory-ish,
sure.
Right?
Yeah. Well, there's always a touch of that nowadays, right?
Right. Well, I heard somebody say, though, that everybody talks about conspiracy theories, but there really are people that conspire against the actual system.
Yeah. But like my brother said to me, people said I was a conspiracy theorist. Now I'm a truth teller.
There's a guy I follow on YouTube, and he has in fact, I should get one of these. He has shirts that says the conspiracy theorists were right.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's got like a picture of the Illuminati in the background or something like that.
But yeah. So the conspiracy theorists, I guess there's always some, again, perception's reality, right? And so again, I'm the number one real estate in the state of Michigan.
Good job. Whoop.
That lives at 19135 McKinnon.
That right. Or we're the number one podcast in the real estate world.
Yeah. We are.
Yep.
But so again, real estate's funny.
Yes.
Because I can say that.
Right.
And there's a lot of fine print.
There is.
Right. There's a lot of fine print. There's an asterisk, but no one looks at the asterisk.
Nobody cares.
So I can say I'm the number one agent in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
But but so perception's reality, but there are some conspiracy theories that we're very afraid of coming down the line, right? Like,
And well, what happens in real estate too is realtors start really getting into this. And one of the things that you guys be careful of, and we want to tread carefully too as we talk about this topic, because we don't want to empower the flame of doubt or more realistically, like, the excuse not to produce in this business. So, but you still need to be aware of these things and understand what's kind of happening. A lot of this revolves around the FedNow program that's coming out. Now, if you don't know what FedNow is, you can go to fednow.com and you can see that on their website, they're ready to launch and be everywhere by July is their goal. In fact, on their website, if you are currently a bank, a lender, or anything, you can run through their website to see a check to see if your systems are ready to incorporate the new FedNow program. And again, the theorists out there, which, by the way, Robert Kiyosaki is one of them. Robert Kiyosaki is huge into this. And myself, I wonder if it's partly because he wrote a book about this stuff, right? But then again, he predicted the crash in 2008 with his book. I can't remember the name. If anybody remembers the name, if you could put it in chat. But he wrote a book in 2000, predicted the crash in 2008. And he has been on a lot of shows lately talking about this whole decentralization of our money.
Yeah.
And for some of us out there, we don't even know what this is. Some of us out there know what this is, and we're buying into everything, and we're freaking out, and we're spending more time worrying than we are preparing or planning. To go back to one of Al's points up here, I didn't get a chance. Yeah, there it is. Because Al is 100% right. Real estate is an essential of life. It must have a place. Everybody must have a place to live, just like food, health, and transportation.
Yeah.
And he's 100% right. And anytime that you have fear of where the economy is going, or what happens if they do whatever with money, right? We were just talking to Scott Muska about this, who I think is actually listening right now outside. He wanted to come in and join the conversation because he loves this topic. But, we were just talking to him about that. And his point was, all this stuff is going to happen without us giving it permission to happen anyway.
Yeah, it's like people really don't need our consent.
Right.
Like, they really don't need our consent.
Now, that being said, there is certain things, like, I don't know if anybody's been following like what the farmers have been doing with their tractors, but it's like 10 times what the truckers did up in Canada. Because there's in certain countries right now, they're not allowing the farmers to produce food.
Right.
Because if you can control the food, you control the money, like, you can control people, right?
Right.
And so this stuff is really going on. Now, again, whether it's way on the side of the conspiracy theorists or not, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. And because of things like the environmentally friendly, these acts and stuff like that they've put in, they've told farmers that they just can't farm. Some farmers, they're paying them not to farm, which means they're not producing food right now. And by not producing food, they're having food shortages.
Yeah.
And by not being able to produce energy inside their country, they're having energy issues. And you guys can read about this and see about it. And you should be reading about this and seeing about this, right?
There was a just happened in 18,000 dairy cattle died in an explosion.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Weird, huh?
That is, like, what happened? Did they all?
I don't know. That's just the.
Did they all fart at the same time?
But, like, think about that. Like, what kind of explosion kills 18,000 cows?
A big one.
A big fucking one, right?
You could say, whoops, I don't have my bleep button out here.
Yeah, you were a little late on the bleep.
Sorry about that. You look right at me too. Here, do it again.
A big one.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, I agree.
But
oh man.
But yeah, and you're right. And what people don't know is sometimes the government will pay farmers to not farm.
Yep.
Right? Because that's their livelihood, right? Like, that's their living. That's how they make a living, is by selling the food that they're farming, right? And so, or the animals or whatever they're farming, right? But yeah, the government will pay them to, like, take a year off. Well, how much did you make last year? Well, I made this much. Okay, good. Here's that.
Don't produce anything.
Don't produce anything this year.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that wild?
And it's all to control the economy, right? I mean, if you control, like you said, if you control the food and the energy,
yeah,
and
then there's one more.
The
money.
money.
What that is? The money,
yeah.
Right? And so that's where again a lot of these theories are starting to pop up right now. And, part of it is like, and you see this for people that practice Christian religion, you see this, and maybe it's not just in the Christian religion, but you see a lot of people in the end times, and they do what's known as newspaper eschatology, right? So like whatever news article is currently happening, they somehow figure out how to make it fit into their worldview of how the world's going to end.
Sure.
And we do see a lot of that with stuff like this, right? But realistically, when you start reading through this, so again, do your due diligence. We should start by saying that. I would say look up the FedNow program. Now, the people that are saying that the decentralization of the dollar, is going to be immediate and it's going to disappear overnight. I haven't heard one person that thinks that all of a sudden we're going to wake up tomorrow and, the dollar that's in your pocket isn't going to be there. Now, I've seen people write articles that have stated that, right? Literally, like you could wake up the next day and the money that's in your pocket is worthless. That's not that's not going to happen.
No, I don't see that happening.
But
I mean, let's be honest. How many of us now carry cash anyway?
So
Which is funny, right?
Here's
Because,
the pros and cons. Pros and cons.
I mean, everybody has their
Phone.
Yeah, everybody has their Cash App, right?
So, there's pros and cons of all of this, right?
Sure.
And like I said, it's just like we talk about the train. Good stuff on the right hand, bad stuff on the left hand. Train's moving forward anyway, right? With all of these things that happen, and every time change happens, and this is what I really want you guys to get, because it goes back to what Al had said earlier on in the show. Every time change happens and people become fearful, number one, there's opportunity there. There's opportunity to come alongside people and show them why not to be afraid. Number two, there's always opportunity that presents itself, right? When COVID happened, the team that I was working on at the time, the first thing that I said is, we have to figure out how to make ourselves like a COVID team, right? So we had a website that was built. We had it out real fast. We had a plan in place about how we could go through the home with the drone. So there was, human, but there was an opportunity there because nobody else was there. Everybody else was living in fear. Because of that, we seized an opportunity and we were able to get out in front of it and advertise ourselves and never stop working, right? And so with all this stuff, it always comes back to that. Real estate is one of those things where people always need a roof over their head, right? It's also one of those things where you can be super, super creative and figure out how to make this work. How many people out there remember when Bitcoin first got released? And I never talked to her. I would be interested, Randy, if you're listening, I'd love to hear this, or Fabian. I remember there was mortgage brokers that were trying to figure out how to get Bitcoin involved so that you could buy a home via Bitcoin, because that whole thing was a big deal at the time, right?
Yeah.
So, it's always going to change. The pro, like you said, to the cashless society, and Dave is right. Dave says that cash is dirty and disgusting. And I'd like to let you know, I'll just put this as a open, I guess for your benefit, Dave. If you want me to take any of that and wash it for you, I will. Just send it right to me.
Yeah. Just drop a bag off of cash and we'll clean it.
You don't need to be carrying that dirtied cash around. We'll take care of that for you.
But the scary part is, becomes with not the fact that there's not cash.
Yeah.
Right. The scary part starts to come in with how can the government monitor me what I'm spending on, right? How can they monitor everything that I'm doing? And how they can do it is no cash.
By monitoring it through an app.
Right? If I have to do everything, if I have to pay for everything via an app or my phone, right? Like, again, we go to the grocery store or gas station, boop, we hit our thing, we're good, right? We're out.
Yep.
I buy my neighbor's car, right?
Yep.
I buy my neighbor's car. Well, now I can't just boop. I gotta pay cash.
No,
right?
you can boop him if as long as he's part of the FedNow,
right
to his bank.
But then how do they when they recently just changed that with all the tax laws, right?
Oh shoot!
People don't want to boop because
you'll know exactly
now
how
you're
much
gonna know exactly how much
car.
you just paid for the car.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh, boop.
Again, we can get into politics or whatever, but like socialism is not the answer. Just throwing that out there.
Yes, this is Rob is correct. We have figured out.
Yeah.
We're gonna title it that. We are announcing right now today on Free for All Friday.
Yeah.
That we have figured out how to legally launder money. You send it to us, we'll wash it. Tide probably.
Yeah, you're not getting it back.
Tide is the best. Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
But
it's our gift to society.
Yes, to wash your money.
To wash your money.
That yes,
with Tide.
With Tide.
Tide Pods, and then we're gonna eat them after.
No, we're not.
No, isn't that what the kids are doing nowadays?
You can't. Free for All Friday is not necessarily reflective using beliefs of its host. Don't do any of this stuff. We got to be careful, man.
We are not attorneys.
We are yes.
Yes,
we are not attorneys.
We may. I mean, the show may be over after today.
But so anyway, getting back to it, yes, the part of the thing is you have a lot of people that are worried because they don't want anybody tracking what they're spending their money on. What's funny about that is the same people have Apple Pay and Google Pay, and you're doing it anyway. Okay, they also have Speedy Rewards points and all this other stuff. They're already being tracked.
Sure,
right? The part where people are really concerned is if you no longer receive like in the real estate industry. So if you go to now again, people have said this is great. So imagine this, realtors. You have a close, and as soon as you walk out of there, the money's already in your bank, and the money's already in the seller's bank because everybody's using Fed now, so it's instant, right? So as soon as they sign the paper, which will probably be digital or whatever. So as soon as they sign the paperwork, actually it doesn't have to be digital. I keep forgetting this is in July. This is released. So as soon as they're done signing the paperwork, you guys stand up. You walk away from the table, and you already have your money deposited into your bank account. Your broker's already got their piece deposited. The seller's already got theirs sitting inside there, and the buyer just goes, right, their bank account is like it's an instant thing.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I think that's a good improvement. The part where it's going to be finicky is when they say, when you want to go and buy something in particular, and they say, you can't do that. And that's one of the other thing that people are up on. And this is something, again, do your own research and look on this.
Right. And the other the other part to that too is when it's what time of year is it right now? It's tax season.
Yes. Oh, you're right. They could automatically take taxes out.
Right. But
for real estate agents, for the normal person listening to our show, they're like, they do that. But for the real estate agent,
1099, yeah. But here comes the problem. What are my write-offs? What are my, what did I spend? How granular is this going to get? And is it going to be where, all right, well, so like for my home office, right?
Yeah.
I can write off my home office, right? But how much then I can write off so much for my home office, right? But then did I actually spend that? So now everything is trackable. Like, you know what I mean? Like how granular can this get? And if there is no cash, right? And if there is, even if it's an app, but if there's no cash, like your taxes will be interesting, right? Because
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So I mean, if they're going to track everything,
and we don't track anything.
But here's the thing: who the hell needs an accountant anymore?
Well, I mean, ChatGPT is my accountant now,
right?
So I'm just kidding, Erin. You're the best. She really is.
But
the
no,
best.
but I mean,
shout out to Erin.
I mean, if you think about it, like, why do we need the tax collector? Because it's already all done. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you made. This is what you spent. Boom, it's done. So there's no room for me to do anything, right? That's the problem that a lot of people are having, like investors, right? Well, if I invest in some properties and some real estate, and if I invest in a couple different things, well, there's my write-offs, and I can do that. No, not if everything's trackable and traceable. There's nothing extra. You know what I mean?
You know, the other thing that I've been wondering about is this. So for those of you that don't know, most people don't realize this, but our dollar used to be attached to gold. That we had. Most people don't realize that we're no longer attached to gold, right? That's when a lot of the problems started happening in this country. They happened because we got off the gold standard and we started printing money and calling it money just because it was printable.
Yeah.
That's why, if you're really paying attention, or if you've heard people say, your dollar isn't worth what it used to be worth. It's worth like pennies now. It's because we just keep printing more and calling it money. So what's interesting to me about that whole thing and about like kids today is think about your standard millennial. I'm wondering if like gold is going to be worth what gold has always been worth to people in the past. In other words, like, are we going to go into a time where gold isn't valuable that much to anybody anymore? Because you have a lot of people, because guys, you got to understand the people that sell gold, they're also really, really big on pushing all the conspiracy theories, right? Everything is decentralized. The central banking system's taking it all over. And the only way you'll be able to buy or sell anything is using gold. But I question that, because a millennial today, like, what is a gold nugget to him? Like, does he really care? And it really comes back to a principle of, then this is what happened in our housing market. Value is really whatever society decides value is.
Market value.
Right.
Right.
So if everybody just decides, like, did we bring this point up the other day about how people will end up just trading liquor? Was that you and me that had this conversation?
The movie was The Book of Eli.
Yeah.
Is the Denzel Washington movie is The Book of Eli. And if you guys haven't seen The Book of Eli with Denzel, it's a great movie. But I look very angelic, don't I?
You look like an angel.
I do, don't I? Look at that.
Look at him.
Or it's just a shine off the top of my head.
The top of your head looks like an angel. Sorry, guys. We're getting there. Oh, this is what happens if you got to do a show every Friday live, man.
But no, but The Book of Eli, the same. So, long story short, it's after the nuclear war. There is no cash. There's no there's the only thing of value is liquor and tobacco. That's the only thing of value. So that's what became tradable, right? So, hey,
like I said,
who knows? This could be great.
At the end of the day, again, people, it's just gonna be really interesting to see where all this goes. And it's funny because I'm not sure if Dave is making a joke or not. Maybe. Oh, yep, he put laughy faces. Nope, that wasn't him.
Humans bowing down to so this is a stepping stone to AI taking over and humans bowing down to robot overlords.
So what's interesting about that is there was a news article the other day. They have released Chaos GPT, which is somebody basically took the Chat GPT functionality, which I know everybody's getting sick of hearing about, but this is it. You're never gonna not hear about it until the next big thing comes out, right? And they took away all of the.
Everybody remember NFTs?
Yeah, whoop whoop. Those are going strong for people that utilized them right. But what they're going to do is they basically deprogrammed ChatGPT's safety features and programmed it instead to figure out how to create harm towards humans.
Sure,
of course somebody did that.
Right, of course somebody did that.
And so it's crazy because
people they did that and they taught it how to write pornography. So two things people first did.
That's
right?
Now pretty soon it'll be brewing its own rolling. ChatGPT will be sitting in a cell somewhere rolling its own cigarettes.
But no, I mean it's a real thing though, right? Like that's it's amazing where society goes, and it automatically goes right down a dark, deep dark hole. Immediately. Like
that was the name of the first book that it put out in that subject that you were talking about. So
or in the subject you were talking about.
Right.
Could be either one.
But what's interesting is that yes, there's a lot happening, and that's kind of the point. How can we take what's going on right now and utilize it to our advantage? We can't stop. Do you just want to move over here? Do we need to powder your head, Jimmy?
I mean, look, man, my head's not that shiny. If I go back,
if you're listening to the podcast again, we invite you to join us live. You can join us live on Facebook at Facebook.com/Free for All Friday. You don't know what you're missing if you're not joining us live and you're just listening to this after the fact. Right now, the studio is super bright. We didn't think about this one window that we thought was great at first because when we started, it was dark out in the mornings.
I feel like an angel.
And Jimmy's head looks like it's exploding with knowledge right now. In fact, I think I am currently getting a tan off of your forehead.
Yeah, like
I'm getting darker right now before your guys' eyes.
Yeah, that's just how smart I am.
So, again, the thing is, whatever happens, happens, right? You hear people all the time say, it is what it is. We literally live in the is what it is industry. What we need to do is figure out how, if it is what it is, how can I take advantage of that?
Right.
And there's very few businesses like real estate where you can literally take advantage of any of this stuff. You know what? Cool. Fed now. Everybody thinks that this is a great program. It's happening anyway. How can you be the first, how can you be like one of the first agents to do something with that? Or, hey, at closing, if I do cash back at closing, it's instant cash back at closing or something like that, right? How can you take advantage of that instead of letting it take advantage of you, right?
Yeah.
ChatGPT 4. Cool. It writes all your own stuff, right? Fills out your contracts. Great. What are you going to do with that time that you don't need to utilize for that? And by the way, I've been playing with that a lot, and it's super interesting. The other day, I'm currently looking for a new vehicle, right? And the other day, I came up with the idea of just asking ChatGPT 4. So instead of doing research on all these different vehicles, I just asked it, and it picked 3 cars based on every article it read from Kelly, Edmunds, and Repair Pal. And it said, after reading every resource they have on the website, here's 3 of the most reliable vehicles that can last up to 200,000 miles and cost the least. And I was absolutely amazed because they'd even calculated out how much it was going to cost per year for gas to drive back and forth to work, to drive to Pentwater at least 5 times a year. Like, it calculated everything out for me. And the mathematical formula was insane. And I was like, man, how can I take advantage of something like that? So imagine being able to utilize it, or somebody probably already is, to instantly provide a report out to clients on whether or not a property is a good, what is your overall total cost of ownership, including heat bills, water bills, whatever for this property.
Right.
And how can you save money? And how can you do this? Right? There's 1,000 ideas out there. And it goes back to what I said, one of our favorite quotes, I know we've said it to each other a lot, is when Tony Robbins talks about it's not a resource issue, it's a resourcefulness issue.
Right.
And all of this stuff can be worked out to our advantage.
Yeah, and again, it's using it to its advantage, and it's the same thing as social media, right? Like, you can use it to your advantage.
Yep.
It can also be a detriment if you let it overtake what you're doing. It's anything, right? It's gluttony. It's everything, right? There's too much of anything's bad.
Yeah.
Are you with me on that one?
I am. My brain went somewhere really weird for a second because it's like, is there anything? And I was like, no. I remember reading an article one time about somebody that decided. Do you remember that when that guy did the diet based on the sun? And his belief was that if he walked outside and bathed in the sun while resting his body in sand, that his body would absorb all the nutrients out of the sand, and the sun would provide the vitamin C stuff like that he needed in order to survive. And he was hospitalized.
Well, I mean, think about the guy. Remember the guy that did the Super Size Me?
Oh yeah,
that he just ate McDonald's only and what it did to his body.
Yeah,
so too much of anything is a bad thing.
Yeah,
we all like McDonald's, right? But you can't eat cheeseburgers every day.
Right.
I'd love to.
Yep.
But you can't eat steak every day either, and I know you don't want to do that. But so no, it's again too much of anything. But the cashless thing is the only thing that's nerve-wracking about that, really is. And if people, it's I'm gonna say the trackability for it, but you're already getting tracked anyway. Because like you said, you have cash apps. If you have a credit card, you're getting tracked anyway.
If you have a points anything, you're getting
points anything, yep. Right? Your Speedway points, and everybody's got the points thing. The concerning part for me comes in, like I said, with taxes and everything else, right? Like, because what's going to be the necessity to pay off? There is. You've already exceeded it, Dave. So, but that's the part that'll get weird. I think is that part of taxes and everything else at the end of the year, because if everything's going to be trackable and traceable and everything's going to be laid out, and we're in a truly cashless society, that's when it gets scary.
Well, that, and then when it goes to what you get, again, if you guys are following this, you will see CB, central bank electronic currency. I think that's it.
Yes,
My brain
is it
isn't working.
CBDC?
DC.
Yeah.
DC. Sorry, guys. I had all this written down.
Yeah.
But either way, that's the other way, that's the other thing that people are concerned about is by introducing this FedNow program, it's actually putting the programming into all of the banks and into all the financial institutions to allow for a central banking system where we all work off of one centralized bank. And again, if you have not ever read or heard of the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, I would highly recommend it. It's how we started this whole conversation. Because if you're going to earn money in this, and you should, if you're in business to earn money. You should know how it works, and you should know how to work it. And any system that we're going into, you need to know the ins and outs of how that system works. It's one of the reasons that people get mad at the person at the top that's taking all the advantages. Well, guys, they just figured out. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, CBDC,
Rob,
central bank digital currency.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the people at the top have figured out how to take advantage of their money. And then other people get jealous of that. At the end of the day, though, guys, you really do need to figure this stuff out. Figure it out for yourself. Don't be afraid, but you need to be educated.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe a little scared.
Yeah.
Scared enough to do something.
The funny thing is, you don't have to become an expert in everything.
No, you
should just know some stuff.
Beyond, yes, and I want to put this out there as a caveat. You need to know stuff beyond what two bozos talk about on a podcast or that clip.
Although that is very important.
Yes, or that clip. But, again, it's one of the reasons why we've been talking about this for a while, and we're cautious when we talk about the ChatGPT stuff because we really don't want to be one more talking point out there to, just be out there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's never our goal is never to create panic, cause disturbance,
or to be your education.
Yeah.
You need to take everything that we say with a grain of salt and go out there and educate yourself. And I think we've been saying that for the last now going on 3 years, right? Yeah. You are in a business, my dear realtor friend, and or everybody else that joins, unless you're not in a business. Because I forgot we've expanded outside of
and
that.
If you're not in the real estate business, call me. We'll
yes.
get into that.
But you need to educate yourself on what's happening in the economy, what's happening in your business. You need to be an actual expert. It's one of the things. I was in an office training an office this week, and I always like to start off my trainings by just reminding agents, especially that are new, that even if you join a team, you are in a business. You need to treat it like a business.
Yep.
And professionals in their field are professionals in their field, not because they just make it up, because they take the time, set time aside to educate themselves on what's happening and how they can take advantage of it.
Yeah. And I had an agent tell me the other day, there's a lot.
There is a lot.
And I'm like, there is a lot. There is a lot here, and there's a lot to. The good thing what we said. The good thing about real estate is there is a lot.
Yep.
Right. So you can diversify with real estate. You don't have to just sell houses, right? You can invest. You can do some different things. So there's not just that part of it, but then there's a whole then you have the admin side.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And there's people that are really good at doing paperwork, and they're just let them do that. Right. So, and what are most salespeople really bad at? Paperwork. So we just created a room for someone, right? We just created a job for somebody that can just do paperwork. So that's the beauty of real estate, guys. And I think that's one of the things we were kind of talking about was how you can diversify yourself within real estate to keep yourself safe and secure, and to not have to work 40 hours a week, hope for some overtime,
not have a future. What's
not
really
have a future,
too?
Right?
Most of the realtors that I talk to, and wrapping this all up, and then I'll read this article that Al wrote for us. But most of the realtors that I speak to, even when they do retire, they're still somehow attached. anybody that has anything to do with real estate, even when it comes to like lending out real estate or commercial. Look at Sam and commercial real estate. We're going to have him on the show. You guys want to talk about a brilliant mind about somebody that's done everything? He's loaned to princes in I forget what country. I forget what country we loaned to a prince in, but
the best. He had the best mic drop moment at a meeting ever.
Oh yeah.
Poverty sucks.
Yeah. And he doesn't even have to work. He runs around. He just did $100 million deal. He doesn't need to do this anymore. But for some odd reason, we continue to stick in this business, and that's exactly what I would say, guys. We need to stick in this business. Hi, Sandra. Thank you for checking in, by the way. And great. I'm glad that you're getting that book. Al says, I've always said if we all got paid cash and bought everything with cash, we would feel the value of working and spend less and save more. So true. We live in a society where everything is too easy to buy, spend more, save less. Imagine getting paid with cash at closing. How many more homes you'll be motivated to sell? This is not going to happen. And nothing like the days we didn't have access to credit cards, checks, and wires. I'm an old school way of thinking, born in 1974. emoji. And he's 100%. Man, is he right? I didn't even think about that. That's a great way to end the show right there. What a great thought about when you take the money away, it's not as real.
But why does Vegas do what Vegas does? Because it's not real, right? Like you don't play with cash at the table.
Yeah.
It's a chip.
None of those girls are real. You're right. All right, guys, listen, go out there, find the opportunities in your business. They're always there. Don't be afraid, but
be angelic.
Be angelic. Jimmy, you've been fantastic.
Johnny, you've been awesome.
And we'll talk to you
next
Friday. Oh, man. I don't know about that sun, guys. Jimmy's going to have to do that. For everybody that's hanging out with us, this is the afterburner where we just sit here and you can hear us chit-chat. You can continue to chat with us in the comments as well as we just kind of recap the show and just kind of have more of a candid conversation about stuff. Man alive, my throat is so sore right now. Does anybody have... Excuse me. Does anybody have any? So I'm drinking like honey and hot tea right now. Does anybody have like a cough drop that you know of that actually works? I currently have Hall's, Fisherman's Friend, and Ricola.
You need to go to Starbucks
and get one of those
medicine
balls.
Yeah, best thing.
So that's almost what this is. So this is lemon juice, honey, and then I put green tea, mint in there, which is pretty much the same thing. But I'm telling you, I got to find something for maybe just an Advil or an ibuprofen. I don't know if anybody has any recipes. You think for a sore throat?
Hey,
So let me know. Shoot me a message. Let me know, or let me know in the comments.
Or see Johnny drunk at noon.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen because I have way too. I don't even know what that is, but I'll give that a shot, unless that is a shot. I got way too many meetings today, and I got to make up yesterday. I'll tell you, one of the things that sucks, and some people saw this on my Facebook, is when you talk all day, and you're trying to connect with people all day, and you just feel like garbage, but you're trying to keep that momentum going.
Yeah,
it's
those are
rough.
the days those are the days it seems like you catch a little momentum, and then you got to go longer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yep.
Like those are the ones. Like, all right.
See, I love this. Thank you so much. And drink it like green tea. So gargle with mouthwash and then boil ginger and drink. Now, if I boil ginger, like, are you talking about like a root of ginger, or go get some like Verner's? You probably don't know what Verner's is. Verner's is a Michigan thing, isn't it? That's our Michigan medicine.
Yeah, Verner's is a Michigan thing, but
they have it everywhere though, right? That's like ginger pop
no.
or whatever.
No, Verner's is not everywhere.
There's so many things I've never heard of before.
We have to send Verner's for my son in Alabama.
because they don't have that type of medicine down there.
They don't have Vernors.
Whatever happened to Dimetap? Do y'all remember Dimetap? Dimetap was the best.
I told you when I was a kid, we used to play with mercury in our hand.
So you would have had Dimetap.
Yeah.
Then. Dimetap.
And do you remember Mercurochrome?
Oh,
So that was the orange stuff your mom would put like on scrapes and cuts.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was volcano lava. And oh, it was the worst. It burned so bad.
It was salt with orange food coloring.
But you know what was crazy?
What?
You would heal like that.
Really?
Oh man.
Because it would burn the wound away?
I think it did. Like it was the mercurochrome. And it had mercury in it. That's why they stopped using it.
Yeah.
Because like so you'd have this open cut and your mom would get this thing out. And it was a bottle, but it was a stick in the bottle. Yeah. Right? So you just dab the stick in and then just wipe it on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like fire. But it worked amazingly.
Yeah.
But it had mercury in it. That's like that's really like what their cure was. I'm like, so I think like I'm 50, right?
So are you saying I should gargle mercury?
Yeah. Just drink it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, just drink it.
I think I know somebody that might be able to get me mercury. Because you can't like find it and you can't just go to the store and buy it anymore, can you?
What was the
I don't know.
I can't remember. I don't know. No, you can't just go buy mercury. No.
Yeah. Drink hot lemon juice with honey. That's actually what's in this right now. Is hot lemon juice with honey, and then I also put green leaf mint tea in there.
I say just go whiskey. Call it a day.
Glass stick with a ball at the end of it. It worked, and I cut. Oh
yeah.
Oh,
Dave
you
knows.
know what?
Yeah, it was like a glass thing with a
bead on the end.
Yeah,
of it.
and then it just
I almost think I vaguely remember that.
Probably. And it was like freaking fire, like putting it on anything.
Yeah.
Like my kids are like, peroxide burns. I'm like, peroxide doesn't burn. This burns.
You think peroxide? Get the salt. I'll show you what burns.
I'll show you guys how to toughen up a little bit.
Right. I'll never
have your mom put mercury on your open wounds. See how that feels, kid.
Oh man. Now I don't know what this is, but I'm sure Jimmy does. What is? I don't even know what this says. Glue? Is this like German glue that you're sending me here, Emil? Is that what this is? Because that's what I would assume the German word for glue is. But I'm sure that
I don't know.
But I'd like to try it. If anybody has any Glue-Haven, Glue-Ween.
Glue-Haven.
It sounds like a game.
In German, you got to say it with you got to say it with some authority.
Don't be insulting people.
I'm not. No, German's just they have an authoritative voice.
Yes. Yep. They sure do.
One of my mom's best friends was German, and he passed away a few years ago. But like, I was always afraid of him until I figured out that was just how he talked.
What is vodka? Oh, I see.
Vodka.
I see. He's already been drinking too. Yeah. I got you. All right. I know that we have half the stuff here. I should go make myself.
It was out on the counter.
You know what's funny about that is, and you know, I was telling you this the other day. I didn't realize this, but I didn't realize that bitters was originally a medicine.
Yeah,
I know you probably know that. I didn't know that. And the other day, I was trying to look up how to cure just a real upset stomach, and you know, nothing was really working. And they were like, "Well, bitters was actually made for this." And I thought, man, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that said, and Scotch works too. And I cannot believe how well that actually works.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, for real. not just to say that it works, but good morning, Sandy. And
the lady that used to put mercury on my open wounds.
Oh, she just joined now.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that for a while.
Yeah.
You make it sound so bad. My doctor told me to gargle warm water with a little peroxide in it. I was not brave enough to try it. So, you know what's interesting about that is my mouthwash works great with hot wine. Vodka, whiskey, bourbon. Now, is that actually what you were talking about? Is that what that's called when you put all that stuff together?
One bourbon.
Is that
and one beer.
German glue? Is that what that is when you put it all together? Or is that something else? Because I really am interested in knowing what this glue stuff is. And I would just like to say publicly that your mom says that you're a baby.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me put mercury on your open wounds and see how that. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I could be insulting my mom right now and just be like, "Well, get up and walk then."
Oh, okay. Guys, we're gonna end this now. Before there's no Thanksgiving dinner at Jimmy's house. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for all the suggestions.
Love you, Ma.
I know that we have a bunch of this stuff out there, so I'm gonna go give this a shot for the rest of the day, just so I can try to
go get him
make it through my day. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because the only thing I say is that like it constantly hurts to talk, but I can't not talk. Like I'm like a shark.
Yeah,
if a shark stops swimming, it dies, right?
I've seen it. Watched it happen.
Oh, all right, guys. We'll chat with you again
next Friday.
Friday.